Greetings and welcome back to Here's What I Heard. I'm Laura DeGoddess, your hostess. Thank you for clicking on my little acre of the internet today. Today's video is going to be my little tribute to the late great Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm doing this for two reasons. One, she was a person who was the epitome of the power of the American dream. And because I now see our Senate leaders, I guess, in their workplace doing their jobs, fighting over her position. But first, allow me to welcome all my new subscribers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you everyone for being here and contributing to my growth. If you would like to help my channel grow into my goal of a live feed call-in talk show, I've been told that the best things that you can do are subscribe, share, comment, like, and of course a donation would be the ultimate. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. All of my links are in the description below, and thank you in advance. Now, back to the notorious RBG. She was a pioneer and a victor for almost everything woman. She had it all. Career, notorious and groundbreaking achievements during said career, family, and even a fantastic social life from what I'm learning. I will discuss a short list of some of her greatness. First, she graduated first in her class from Columbia Law School. Actually, graduating first in any school, even high school, is not easy. She battled and overcame sexism personally. I'll expand on that by talking about one of the stories I believe in one of her bio books. As she was in Harvard, she was offered the answers to exams by one of her professors in exchange for sexual favors. Evidently, he didn't think that she was actually going to be able to even pass the class, much less become top in the class. She promptly confronted him, and there was no more of that. At least not from that professor. The reason why this resonated with me is I actually kind of remember a similar story when I was in corporate America. A room full of Southern good old boys. However, I remember handling the situation exactly the same way as she did. Anyway, she was the first person on both the Harvard and Columbia Law Reviews. She co-founded the first law journal on women's rights. She became the first tenured female law professor at Columbia, where she co-authored the first law school casebook on sex discrimination, and that was in 1974. She became the first female Jewish Supreme Court Justice and the second Supreme Court Justice, female Supreme Court Justice of all time. She's also the only Supreme Court Justice to ever become a pop culture icon. So much so that she is a household name. She's been impersonated on Saturday Night Live several times, and her costume for Halloween is extremely popular, even to this day. There's actually a giant list of all her accomplishments, but I couldn't list them all here, or this would become a documentary. I actually finally decided on doing this video when recently something came across my feed that sparked my interest, as I do appreciate hearing things from the horse's mouth, or from the party that utters such things. I was able to observe the two party leaders in the Senate in their environment, supposedly doing their jobs. At first I thought it was the Senate leaders getting together to honor the memory of recently deceased Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as I tuned in as Mitch McConnell was talking about her great achievements, her bipartisan friendships outside of her duties, and her utter Wonder Woman-like abilities to do all of these things while overcoming hers and, as we find out, her husband's many illnesses, especially lately. May she rest in peace.
Our nation is mourning the end of an exceptional American life. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg meant so much to our country. First and foremost, she was a brilliant, generational legal mind who climbed past one obstacle after another to summit the very pinnacle of her profession. Justice Ginsburg was a fixture on our nation's highest court for more than a quarter of a century. She was not just a lawyer. No, not just a lawyer, but a leader. From majority opinions to impassioned dissents, her life's work will not only continue to shape jurisprudence, but also enlighten scholars and students for generations. Her courage and continued excellence in the face of multiple serious illnesses would itself be the heroic climax rather than just one more remarkable chapter among so many. The legal world is mourning a giant, but Justice Ginsburg's fellow justices, a legion of loyal law clerks, and countless many others are mourning a close friend or mentor. The Senate sends condolences to them all. Yet Justice Ginsburg's impact on American life went deeper still. Friday's loss feels personal to millions of Americans who may have never made her acquaintance. Justice Ginsburg was a spirited, powerful, and historic champion for American women to a degree that transcends any legal or philosophical disagreement. And Justice Ginsburg did not only climb a mountain, she blazed a trail. Through deeds, through words, and simply through her example, she helped clear away the cobwebs of prejudice. She opened one professional door after another and made certain they stayed open behind her. Directly or indirectly, she helped entire generations of talented women build their lives as they saw fit and enrich our society through professional work. Law and politics aside, no friend of equality could fail to appreciate Justice Ginsburg's determination. She was also, in important ways, a uniter. In recent years, many who considered themselves her admirers and might wish to claim the justice for their political side have come to embrace reckless proposals to politicize the very structure of the court itself. But Justice Ginsburg remained unswerving in her public commitment to preserving the neutral foundation of the institution she loved. The entire Senate is united in thinking of and praying for Justice Ginsburg's family, most especially her daughter Jane, her son James, her grandchildren, step-grandchildren, great-granddaughter, and everyone who called her their own. Mr. President, I ask consent that the following remarks appear at a different place in the record.
Now I'm going to show you Chuck Schumer's eulogy, if you will, to the late RBG.
A person of great righteousness dies at the end of the year, near Rosh Hashanah, because God determined that they were needed until the very end. On Friday evening, shortly after the sundown on the eve of the Jewish New Year, we learned that Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a woman of great righteousness, a woman of valor, passed away. She was many things to many people: a brilliant mind, a quick wit, a lover of the opera, a friend, a colleague, a workout guru, a feminist icon. She might be the only Supreme Court justice to become a meme. What began as a joke, the notorious RBG, liking a legendary rapper to an octogenarian jurist, struck a chord of deep resonance in American society because Ruth Bader Ginsburg was, in fact, a rebellious force to be reckoned with. In a male-dominated legal establishment that wasn't waiting for someone like Ruth to shake up the system. She elbowed her way through. Her brains, her strength, her fortitude changed the world for women long before the rest of the world caught up. Over the course of 2 decades as an academic and general counsel for the ACLU, Ruth worked to challenge the foundations of a legal system that had long treated women as a group that had to be protected and thus excluded from full participation in American life. Not only did she reverse those laws and convince the majority of the Supreme Court that the Constitution forbids discrimination on the basis of sex, she was a living, breathing example of how absurd an idea it ever was that women needed additional protections. And when she got to the court, she ruled in a manner that brought the same equality and justice to so many different people from all walks of life. The daughter of Russian immigrants who came to this country like my own grandparents, Ruth went to the same high school as I did in Brooklyn, New York, James Madison High School, 2 decades before I did. I followed her career and her ascent to the bench with that special pride you feel watching someone from your neighborhood make a great difference in the world. The fact that at the end of her long life and illustrious career, young women, and indeed young men across America, looked at Ruth Bader Ginsburg with the same sense of pride and hope, and sometimes adoration, gives me great hope. May she forever rest in peace. Now, Justice Ginsburg's death leaves a vacancy on the Supreme Court, with only 44 days left before a national election that could result in a different president.
Now, Schumer's eulogy, if you will, was nice enough, but he literally went from a eulogy type of diatribe straight into doom and gloom if her dying wishes were not adhered to the letter. And then he said this.
The kind words and lamentations we just heard from the majority leader about Justice Ginsburg are totally empty, totally meaningless if he moves to appoint someone who will tear down everything Justice Ginsburg built.
So essentially he's saying here that we don't accept your condolences. They don't mean anything to us. And that if you don't do what we tell you, it's even worse, that you're even worse of a hypocrite about it. And of course, how in the world does he know who they're going to pick and what exactly they're going to do? You do realize that for anything to come across the justice's desk, someone has to sue for it, and it has to go all the way up to them. So if nobody's talking about it, they're not going to change it. They can't just go, oh, okay, this law's no good anymore. That law's no good anymore. That law's no good anymore. They can't do that. So what in the world is he talking about? And shame on him. I'm not usually a shamer, but shame on him. We're talking about someone's death here, and you're using it as a weapon. And in the meantime, just telling somebody to take their condolences and shove it up their butt. That's uncool. At least McConnell ended the subject of RBG's death and the Senate's condolences before going into his political diatribe. Also, if you paid close attention to the body language of both of the senators as they were giving their eulogies, if you will, Senator McConnell seemed to have a sort of reverence. He was paying attentive to what he was talking about. He seemed extremely sincere, and he spoke for everyone, to everyone, about the terrible loss that this was. Then you go on to Schumer. The first thing he does is reach in his pocket, and I think it was he turned off his flip phone. Why didn't he do that before he came up there? I mean, that was just kind of rude, actually. At least he did it, of course. But then, of course, he started reading it afterwards, and it was like he was talking to nobody in particular. He stuck his hands in his pockets and just kind of nonchalantly went through the motions, in my opinion. So, again, who was sincere and who wasn't about this? Not to mention the fact that Schumer essentially tried to use RBG's death, sounding like he was trying to persuade folks that our government should just disregard any historical precedent and what's described in our law of the land papers and history books and everything like that, to concede to the dying wish of a great woman instead. Yes, she was great, but she wasn't a monarch? In short, comparing both of these speeches, it sounded to me as though one side wanted to work to fill her position as described in our Constitution of the country, and the other side just wanted to fill her shoes, which, even if she picked out her predecessor herself, wouldn't be possible, based on her supposed dying last wish. My question about this is, for the most part, is what kind of fairy tale do these guys think that we live in nowadays? After the glowing and admiring description they both gave, she doesn't even sound like the kind of person that would be thinking something like that at a point like that. You know what they say about wishing, too. Myself, I actually refuse to believe that this was her dying wish, because I'm not going to blow my image of her as a go-getter. She's not a wisher. She's not a hoper. She might have been a dreamer, but she was a doer. She was a go-getter. And you can't change my mind about that, even in death. I mean, look at how long she hung on, and look at how long she endured all that pain from all those illnesses. Besides, a last wish is something like wanting to meet your favorite actor or singer or athlete, wanting to see the ocean or the sand one last time, wanting to see your pets, wanting to see some person the last time. Nobody thinks about politics or their jobs when they're dying. They've got their family surrounding them most of the time, if they're lucky. So I actually have a problem with this narrative that she had this last wish. And if she was such a bastion of fairness, that last wish, she would have known not going to happen. In fact, I would venture to say that based on some of the things I've read about her, she wouldn't have even made that a consideration. It wouldn't even have crossed her mind. It's just not the way things work. Besides that, we're not a monarchy where positions of power are passed down and filled by predecessors' wishes. So, as saddened as I am about this great person's passing, I'm not going to buy the happily ever after ending you guys are trying to predict if we insist on adhering to a dying woman's wishes. Of course, as we go farther down into each of these gentlemen's speeches, we find that the original intent sounds like they're trying to, of course, fill the position that Ruth Bader Ginsburg held. I'm only going to give you a short clip because basically they explained why after they said things just out and out. If you listen closely enough, these people will talk forever, but they eventually do get to the point. Or they start with the point. And you have to listen to the rest to wonder if that was the point. But here they are.
President Trump's nominee for this vacancy will receive a vote on the floor of the Senate.
And by all rights, by every modicum of decency and honor, Leader McConnell and the Republican Senate majority have no right to fill it.
As you can see, I was able to pick out the bottom line from each one of their speeches. They're 18-minute speeches. And as you can see, it was less than a couple of seconds long. So, yes, these people are very long-winded. Lots of pretty words. And most of the time, it means absolutely nothing. So, I hope you enjoyed my little tribute to RBG. It was the least I could do, as she was such a pioneer for women everywhere. I appreciate her work, and long live her memory. If you'd like to help my channel grow and you enjoyed my videos, please make sure to subscribe, share, like, comment, and of course a donation would be the ultimate. All my links are below. help me grow so that we can hear what you heard too. Thanks again for clicking on my little acre of the internet today. Until next time.